This restaurant blew me away. I thought I'd seen it all. Today we're in the beautiful city of Madrid, and there's one culinary legend here we absolutely have to visit, DiverXO. But before we start, let's do a quick quiz. Which one of these is a 3 Michelin star chef? If your answer is, I don't know, but definitely not this guy, well, you'd be wrong. The answer is all of them. And this punk, rock star looking guy right here is today's star, Dabiz Muñoz. And you can probably already tell from the look alone, we're not here for traditional Spanish food today. You'll notice pigs everywhere at DiverXO. The flying pig is the restaurant's symbol for creativity, a reminder that here, the impossible is supposed to happen. Pigs really do fly here. The dining room, on the other hand, feels elegant and private, a stark contrast to the chaotic decor surrounding it. Before long, the first dish arrives. No amuse-bouche, no rules. Just 3 completely unrelated elements to start. Luckily, we were given a sketch of the dish. There's a milk laksa with ox tongue and trout roe, topped with a prawn in black pepper crab sauce. On the side, grilled hake cheek with Indian spices. At first glance, it looks a little chaotic, and I was a little skeptical. But the first spoonful, especially with the hake cheek, completely blew me away. It's incredibly rich. The Indian spices work beautifully with the fish. Apparently, this is the chef's daughter's favorite dish. And it just might become my favorite too. The prawn is crispy and savory. The ox tongue is unbelievably tender. 3 elements that shouldn't work together, but somehow do. Right away, DiverXO hits me with 3 punches, and my expectations are now very high. The next dish takes us to Hong Kong, with the chef's interpretation of char siu pork. It feels a little illegal eating pork while being surrounded by all these cute tiggies. The pork is juicy, incredibly tender, and falls right off the bone, with a crispy element that adds a great contrast in texture. Pork is personally one of my least favorite meats, but this one has none of that unpleasant, greasy aftertaste. I genuinely loved it. Alongside it is a small bao filled with braised mushroom and red bean paste. The mushroom brings an intense umami that coats your mouth. That's 2 for 2 for Chef Muñoz. The next dish is called the frozen oriental ceviche, and we're given a very colorful sketch to go along with it. There are a lot of elements in this one. Chef Muñoz brings Thai spices into a Peruvian-style ceviche and places a thin sheet of ice over the top. The result is a seafood ceviche that's incredibly refreshing and bright with acidity. It really wakes up the palate. That said, I personally found the dish just a little bit too cold. The grilled element here is actually coconut, something I only learned later when I asked the server. It's so tender and fragrant from the spices that at first I genuinely thought it was some kind of seafood. I was also a little confused when I saw tiger's milk on the drawing. For a second, I actually took it at face value. After all, pigs fly here, right? What's so impossible about sourcing tiger's milk? But tiger's milk is actually the citrus marinade used in Peruvian ceviche. It's usually made with lime juice, chili, fish stock, onions, and spices, and no milk involved at all. From just these 3 dishes alone, we've already traveled across 4 different countries. Chef Muñoz describes his cooking as a traveling cuisine, one that doesn't really have borders. As he puts it, his food travels just as he has traveled, and continues to travel. That's how he keeps learning, and how he keeps pushing his creativity. And as we move through the rest of the menu, we're going to see even more countries represented. The next dish brings us back to Europe. This is a tempura fried duck nugget, still attached to the foot, and covered generously with black truffle. On the side, there's a Pyrenean chupe with crayfish. During this course, the staff gently reminded me not to post everything online. I was a little confused, but I quickly understood why. The chef had actually written every single step of the dish right on the sketch. I will respect that and skip a few dishes in this video. Back to the duck. The tempura is crispy and packed with umami, and the black truffle works beautifully with the richness of the meat. The chupe on the side is intense and slightly acidic, which helps balance the whole dish. Yet another fantastic course. The next dish teleports us to Japan. We have tempura shrimp, soba noodles, and wagyu beef, served both as thin slices and as a small wagyu burger. This one is right up my alley. I'm very familiar with Japanese food and I absolutely love it. The tempura shrimp is fantastic. The coating is incredibly light and crispy, while the shrimp itself is perfectly tender. It's so good that I almost feel bad leaving the tail behind. Underneath, the soba noodles sit in a light tomato broth with shiso, which helps balance the richness of the wagyu. The tiny wagyu burger feels slightly out of place, but at this point, that's just nitpicky, because the flavors themselves are absolutely spot on. This dish would feel right at home in any 3 Michelin-star restaurant in Tokyo. Next, we head back to Hong Kong. Is that what I think it is? Please don't let it be shark fin soup. Just as I was starting to feel a little guilty, the server explained that shark finning is illegal in Spain. Instead, they slowly cook down this small shark to create a very dense broth. The shark fin you see here is actually reconstructed from that broth into a gel. Alright, I feel slightly less guilty now, I suppose. And I have to say, the flavor and texture are incredibly rich and full of collagen. On the side, there's a small puffed spring roll filled with black bean paste. A really nice touch. I'll be skipping the next dish as requested, but it looks like we're now heading over to Thailand. This is not a pad thai. Instead, we have 3 different seafood dumplings: lobster, clam, and prawn, all wrapped in delicate rice flour skins. And of course, to bring in that pad thai flavor, there's a peanut snow on the side. The overall flavor lands somewhere between a dim sum dumpling and a pad thai. The peanut snow keeps the dish light, which makes it a nice transition after some of the heavy hitters earlier. Next, we finally return to Spain. This is an Asturian skate chop with Parmesan and yellow mole sauce, topped with a drizzle of honey. We were even invited to taste the honey on its own. I've actually seen this dish on YouTube before, but it looks like the chef has already added a brand new element. Lucky me. On the side, there's a taco topped with fried egg lace and a rich egg yolk. The tortilla itself is dusted with tomato powder. It's an interesting pairing, bringing together flavors from Spain and Mexico. I grabbed the skate by the bones and took a bite, and it just exploded with richness and umami. You get the sweetness from the honey, the gentle spice from the mole, and the deep flavor of the fish itself. It's just incredible. The taco is another flavor explosion. The slightly grilled egg yolk adds richness, while the tomato powder keeps the whole thing from becoming too heavy. This feels like a very powerful statement dish to close out the savory courses. And so far, it's my favorite. But we're not done yet. I had to skip over another 2 courses, and we eventually arrived at this final savory dish. A simple plate of peas and caviar, with a jalapeno and macadamia sauce. The presentation is quite minimal, but the combination is brilliant. Normally, caviar completely dominates a dish, but here, the chef somehow manages to bring the peas head-to-head with the caviar. The peas are slightly charred, which adds a bit of smokiness and brings out their natural sweetness. That sweetness blends beautifully with the saltiness of the caviar and the richness of the sauce. The dish looks incredibly simple, but it's one of those rare moments where caviar is used thoughtfully rather than just as a luxury ingredient. It is so good, I had to finish everything. At this point, I'm already quite full, but DiverXO is definitely not holding back on desserts. The first one is something called vanilla cauliflower. I have to admit, the presentation isn't really my favorite. And yes, the main flavor here really is cauliflower. If you dig into the mousse, there's also a cured egg yolk hidden inside. Personally, I found this dessert a little too rich and savory for my taste. Next comes this one, shaped like the Sydney Opera House. Inside, there's a blackcurrant sphere that bursts with juice when you break into it. This one is much lighter, with a bit of yuzu flavor that adds some brightness. It's a really nice contrast to the heavier cauliflower dessert before it. And even the petit fours are quite generous. 5 different Japanese mochi inspired by flavors from different regions. Some of them are really fun. One has a tiny croissant on top, and another comes with a miniature piece of baklava. A very strong finish to the meal. Needless to say, we had an amazing time at DiverXO. If there's one thing DiverXO proves, it's that when cuisine has no borders, anything is possible. And for some reason, the chef really likes Asian flavors. As someone who grew up with Asian food, I might be a little biased, but the Asian flavors here are not just mimicry. They are genuinely on point. So how does DiverXO compare with the other giant in Barcelona? For me personally, DiverXO wins on flavor. The dishes are bold, intense, and incredibly memorable. In terms of overall experience though, it's a bit unfair to compare. The living table at Disfrutar is such a unique moment that it's hard to match. If you have not watched that video, you should check it out and let me know which one you would prefer. The menu here at DiverXO currently costs 450 euros per person. If you're sold on the creativity, but not sold on the price tag, Chef Muñoz actually has 2 other restaurants in Madrid. One focuses on pasta and dumplings, and another builds around street food, both with very different vibes from DiverXO. Unfortunately, we couldn't get reservations for those this time. Otherwise, that might have been the next video. And speaking of the next video, if you want to see where we're heading next, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.